We had the opportunity to speak with a man who spent 33 years in prison on a false conviction.
Hofstra Democrats and Hofstra College Republicans are giving their take on the election.
And we heard from local candidates on Long Island.
All that and more happening at and around Hofstra today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Hofstra Today. I'm Marissa Santorelli.
And I'm Ryan Yee.
Ryan, it's election season. Our outfits are pretty color appropriate.
Yeah, no kidding.
What did you think about everything that happened with the local elections yesterday?
Well, the big one obviously is Town Supervisor of Hempstead. A tight battle between Laura Gillen and Don Clavin came down to the wire now. Clavin has announced and claimed victory, but Gillen has yet to announce defeat to him yet. I mean, she was the first Democrat in over 100 years to have that Town Supervisor position. A very interesting race between the two.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I think that it came so tight and so down to the wire. I'm excited to see what ends up happening.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about Don Clavin. He stands for keeping young professionals on Long Island, right?
Yeah, great opportunity for Hofstra students, so we'll see how those results turn out.
Absolutely.
So shifting over from local news to Hofstra news now. The Hofstra Chronicle reported last month that the Hofstra chapter of Sigma Alpha Mu fraternity was placed on interim suspension in September while the university investigates charges of hazing. Allegations against the fraternity include the presence of strippers at an off-campus house in Uniondale, lighting a pledge's hair on fire, and forcing pledges to stand in a bathroom while it got progressively hotter. According to the Hofstra Chronicle, Hofstra declined Sigma Alpha Mu National's request to collaborate on their investigation.
November 8th is National Celebrate First Generation Students Day. Hofstra is recognizing students whose parents have not obtained their bachelor's degree in the United States. Be sure to stop by the Student Center atrium between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. for giveaways and free shirts. Get connected with Hofstra U and First Gen Hofstra on Instagram. For photo ops, use the hashtags HofFirstGenPride and Celebrate First Gen. Students can also connect with organizations and administrators that can help along the way on their path to success at Hofstra.
On Wednesday, November 13th, there will be a live in-studio presentation of the 100th episode of the award-winning podcast, Immigration Mike. Hofstra radio students, faculty, and local community leaders will have a conversation about the current state of the national immigration debate and its implications for immigrant families on Long Island. This event is in collaboration with the Center for Civic Engagement, the Center for Race, Culture, and Social Justice, and the Latin American and Caribbean Studies program. The event will take place at 3:30 p.m. in Studio A in the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication.
Hofstra's first dance marathon will be taking place this weekend. This event works alongside Cohen's Children's Medical Center to help ill and injured children within the local area. Many student organizations and individuals have been raising funds for this charitable event. The dance marathon will be taking place on November 9th at noon in the Hofstra Fitness Center. Students and children alike will be able to celebrate the hard work and fundraising for this wonderful foundation with fun activities and a bouncy house.
The Great Writers, Great Reading series will host their 16th annual event on Wednesday, November 13th at Monroe Lecture Center at 6:30 p.m. This year's event features Colson Whitehead, a New York Times best-selling author. He has taught at numerous universities, and in 2018, he was named New York's 11th state author. This event is free to the public, but advanced registration is required.
Hofstra will be having 2 Dance for the Day events on November 13th and 20th. This is a chance for high school students and their teachers to come to Hofstra and spend time with dance faculty and majors. Attendees can take a dance class with a faculty member, observe a dance class, see a student performance, and speak with faculty and students about dance and dance education. Students will have a chance to spend time on a college campus and gain an understanding of what college-level work includes. Most of the programs are free and open to local students.
On Wednesday, November 13th, the Osler Society of the Zucker School of Medicine will present Stumped, a journey of loss and restoration. The presentation will include clips of the award-winning documentary, which follows the story of Will Lotzenheiser, a quadruple amputee and double-arm transplant recipient, followed by a discussion led by Lotzenheiser himself. The event will take place at 6 p.m. in room 143 in the Zucker School of Medicine, where the refreshments will also be served. Prior registration is required, and you can RSVP at medicine.hofstra.edu.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Gabe James will give us the 5-day forecast.
Now to Gabe James with our weather update.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at this week's weather forecast. It's a sunny day here in Hempstead with a high of 53 degrees and a low of 40 degrees. The clear weather will continue into the evening with light winds. Don't put your raincoats away just yet, because tomorrow there is a 70% chance of rain throughout the day with a high of 59 degrees and a low of 33 degrees. The rain will carry into the evening with an 80% chance of rain and winds at 20 miles per hour. Now let's see how the rest of the week will play out here in Hempstead. We will see the winds picking up on Friday with wind speeds up to 30 miles per hour during the day and partly cloudy skies. Friday will be a high of 42 degrees and a low of 27 degrees. Saturday will be a lot brighter, as we can expect sunny skies with a high of 41 degrees and a low of 36 degrees. The temperatures will warm up on Sunday with a high of 52 degrees and a low of 41 degrees. Partly cloudy skies and winds at 10 miles per hour. I'm Gabe James. Back to you, Marissa and Ryan.
Our field reporter Laramie Knox spoke with some of the candidates running for local elections on Long Island. Let's hear what they had to say.
Laramie Knox here at the Monroe Lecture Center Theater, where Hofstra Votes Live brought on a multitude of candidates running for the local November 5th, 2019 election.
Voting is important. It determines in our democratic process the kind of government, the kind of laws, the kind of lifestyle, the quality of life that we have. And it's extremely important that it is here on a college campus, a seat of learning, that we had this conference tonight.
I think the young voters are the most important voters. One day you will rule the world. So it's very good to start to be knowledgeable at a young age.
I think it's so important that young voters get engaged. I admire you for bringing these issues to young voters. I'm at the train station in the morning just talking to people about the election, and I find so many young people just go, oh, I'm not interested, oh, I'm not engaged, oh, I don't vote. But your voice is really important, and your voices matter.
It's critical for young people because the young people are the future. We're really just, getting ready to pass this torch. And I think most important is for them to understand that the two-party system is not working and that they really should, at this age, get very involved in government, find out where their money's going, find out who's making the policies, who's getting jobs, and things like that.
The college campus is both a nest of wonderful learning and opportunity, but it's certainly a challenging time. So the work of the district attorney should be very much keep an eye on being sure that college campuses are free from violent crime, but also that civil liberties are protected.
Local elections matter. The government that's closest to your home is the one that matters the most. Oftentimes we think of these big national issues, which are great, but we can do all that locally. There's legislation we can pass locally regarding gun laws, regarding housing, regarding everything that we care about nationally. So I think it's very important that we get involved. We use our voice. Politicians pay attention to the people who vote, right? And if we vote, they will pay attention.
I want them to be well informed. I want them to look at the community they currently live in, know the issues that Nassau County is facing, and then vote conscience.
Them showing up and caring about who it is that represents them sets a very good example, not only for their friends and peers, but for the older communities as well. Their voice needs to be heard because we are going to be representing them as they get older, and as their issues change, they need to be aware of where the politicians stand and where the candidates stand, and see the importance in knowing who it is that you're voting for and not just voting off of a party line or whatever name you liked.
In local elections, every single vote matters. So your voice is important, and your vote can really make the difference in an election.
Thank you to all the candidates who spoke to us this evening. Hofstra Votes Live and the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Long Island. With Hofstra Today, I'm Laramie Knox. Now back to you in Studio B.
In recent reports, Long Island local elections have been swept by the Republican Party. The results are still updating as we speak.
Now to Katerina Balalis with our national news.
Last week, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to approve the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Republican lawmakers unanimously voted against proceeding with the investigation, but 3 House committees opened the impeachment inquiry for the Trump administration's involvement with Ukraine regarding an investigation into his political opponents. Trump has repeatedly denied any claims of wrongdoing and has instructed subpoenaed officials not to cooperate with the investigation. It is unknown when public hearings in the inquiry are set to begin. Now moving on, nearly 200,000 acres of land have been destroyed in hundreds of wildfires in the state of California. California, which is known for having wildfires due to the dry air and warm climate, has had an increase in wildfires in recent years. Thousands of residents were forced to evacuate their homes, which has cost the state more than $150 million. Scientists have cited climate change as the primary cause of the increase in wildfires. And finally, the U.S. government may be heading towards another government shutdown ahead of Thanksgiving unless a deal is reached. The House is currently in the middle of a 10-day recess, leaving only 8 days when both chambers are open to strike a deal to avoid the shutdown. One of the biggest roadblocks in these negotiations is a diversion of $5 billion from the Department of Health and Human Services to the Defense Department to fund the border wall with Mexico. The last government shutdown lasted a record 35 days last winter, costing taxpayers billions of dollars. Both Democrats and Republican lawmakers have indicated that they would like to avoid any government shutdown. And that's all for National News. I'm Katerina Valalis. Back to you, Ryan and Marissa.
Don't change that channel, because after this break, we'll be interviewing active student Democrats and Republicans. In spirit of yesterday being Election Day, we have invited representatives from the Hofstra Democrats and College Republicans to answer a few questions about local elections. Now to Hofstra Today's political correspondent, Cassidy Slamman, with our in-studio interview.
Thank you, Marissa and Ryan. Today we are lucky enough to have both the presidents of the Hofstra Democrats and the Hofstra College Republicans in studio. Miranda Pino will be representing the Hofstra Democrats, and Peter Tarantino will be representing the Hofstra College Republicans. First of all, welcome to Hofstra Today. Do either of you have any opening remarks about the results of last night's election?
We're still looking forward to hearing all of the results of the elections.
Great. So what do you think are some of the biggest political issues right now facing Long Island?
For the Democrats, it's definitely development and housing for all people, the environment and water and safety.
I would agree that drinking water that you touched on is an important issue, and it is directly linked to a big thing going on in Long Island, which has been development and overdevelopment, which we've seen in the past decades skyrocket. That, I believe, needs to be controlled, because we have to learn from the city's mistakes. I mean, New York City, they get their water from upstate because they overdeveloped. So I believe that this is a problem that Long Islanders are concerned with and needs to be addressed. Secondly, I'd like to say that a big problem that we're facing, obviously, is young people not staying here and leaving our state. So I would like to see, and I believe the state needs to address, making housing affordable for young people, having high-paying jobs available on the island, and making it just a better place for young people to stay and raise families.
Great. So Nassau County has 15 early voting locations open during a 9-day period before Election Day. Do you support early voting, and do you think it's necessary?
I absolutely support early voting. I think it's really important for those people who can't make it out on Election Day because they have children, they have jobs or multiple jobs. So it is a great way to kind of open up voting to more people, which makes it more accessible.
Great.
I didn't support early voting when it passed, when it was being debated in Albany, when it ultimately passed earlier this year. Now that we have it, I support it. I have friends and family who participate, and I think it's great. I would do it myself if I needed to. But generally, I didn't support it because I was concerned about logistical issues, of which I still have. But generally, I think we should use it. We should encourage people to vote. I think it would have been better to maybe compromise and make Election Day a holiday. If we want to keep our elections as secure as possible and get as many people out to vote, I think that would have been a better solution. But we have early voting, and I support that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So going to the election night last night, what were your party's thoughts on the results of the election? Were you surprised? Were you disappointed?
I mean, on Long Island, I think we were overall a little disappointed. The Hempstead Town Supervisor race is still in contention. However, it seems that the Republican candidate will be winning that position. We are happy about the district attorney maintaining her seat. However, looking nationally, I think Virginia is something that we're very excited about. We now have total control over the state. which looking forward, we could possibly pass the Equal Rights Amendment, which is something that we've been trying to do for over 40 years.
Great.
Now, I'm involved in politics in Suffolk County primarily. So while we had some victories in the Republican Party last year, we also had a lot of disappointments. We lost a very competitive county executive race in Suffolk County. 5 Republican incumbents in the city of Glen Cove all lost. Several county legislative seats in Suffolk County were won by Democrats. On the bright side, we won the supervisor race in Hempstead. We flipped a very competitive legislative seat in Suffolk County, and we kept our majority very sizably in Nassau County. So generally, I do think that, you know, this was not a great night for Republicans generally when you look around the whole island as a whole. So I think, you know, this is basically a wake-up call to my party to change our strategies. And I think it's the same message we got last year, and I love to talk more about that, but yeah, I think it's a wake-up call.
Great. And so my last question for you, I'll keep it pretty brief. Do you think that the results from last night's election are indicative about how Long Island is going to vote in 2020 in the state and national elections?
I think it is somewhat indicative. What I think is really important is noticing how many people were mobilized to go vote, especially with early voting, and the volunteers on the campaigns, especially in 2018. We saw a lot of people coming out to volunteer and be excited about candidates. So I look forward to seeing Long Islanders come out to participate in the process.
Great.
I think that, yeah, it tells us a lot about what's going on next year. I think that what we saw in Long Island in 2016 was kind of amazing if you look at, you know, prior data. I mean, Trump won the island as a whole. So, and local elections following that, 2017 and 2019, weren't indicative of that at all. Democrats did pretty well. So, yeah, I think it does mean something. And like I said earlier, I think, you know, the Republicans are really going to change their strategy from here on out, and I'm interested to see what that will be on the local level and how that will impact our presidential election.
Great. So thank you both so much for joining us today. Now let's send it back to Marissa and Ryan at the desk.
After the break, we have an exclusive interview with Keith Bush and an update on all things Hofstra sports, so stick around. Now that we're back, Hofstra today had the opportunity to interview Keith Bush, a falsely accused ex-convict who spent 33 years in prison for murder he did not commit. Last May, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office reversed their conviction of Bush, who had been arrested and imprisoned in 1976 with the help of racially motivated detective work. Courtney Adama sat down with Bush to talk about the nature of his case.
I'm Courtney Adama with Hofstra Today. We had the opportunity to sit down with Keith Bush when he visited Hofstra on Tuesday, October 22nd. To start off, what made you want to come to Hofstra and speak with these students?
I was invited to come here. My niece had, she told me someone from Hofstra was trying to locate me, and it was Nicole Franklin. Eventually got in touch with me and we communicated, and she told me about the event, and I thought it was a great opportunity for me to come out and kind of express, you know, what happened.
And what made you want to come to a college specifically where there are people that are younger and that are learning?
That's where all the brains are. It's here in the colleges. I mean, you know, you're going to shape the future. Tomorrow, you're going to determine, you know, the state of this country. And you're going to determine its politics, its economics. So who best to talk to than the leadership of tomorrow?
How has your life changed since you left prison and since then, since you've been completely exonerated?
When you achieve something, like when you get your degree and you think about all the years of studying and working for that one piece of paper, and yet that paper carries a significance that, you know, it's with you for life. To be able to say now that I'm free and to do some of the things that I was never able to do, it was just worth everything that I went through to get here.
What would you say was unconventional about the situation in terms of your process of getting exonerated?
I don't know what's unconventional about it. It was interesting because it was almost like magic. Things fell into place at the right exact time. For years, I've been making FOIA requests, for example, for information about the case, and I was never able to receive it. I was just about to go into court with the issues that we had. The head of the district attorney, Spoto, he got indicted. A new administration came in, and it was unique because now we had, exculpatory evidence. It was just strange the way it happened because it happened within a week. Like when that administration went out, we was able to get this stuff, and that integrity unit was formed, the following month, and they decided to look at our case, and within 6 to 8 months, they agreed with us.
What are your next steps of involvement for prison reform in this country?
I feel that we need to sit down, come together, kind of reveal some of the things that we did, to start looking at developing some of the stuff we did while we were in prison, some models, some analysis on the criminal justice system, and start pushing them, to the leadership in New York State, whether it's legislators or senators or whatever, some type of reform, or just to be able to have some input in that. But more importantly is to become more active in the community.
We'd like to thank the Center for Civic Engagement for hosting this discussion and Professors Nicole Franklin and Martine Hackett for moderating the discussion with Keith Bush. I'm Courtney Adama. Back to you, Marissa and Ryan.
Here's David Lazar to give us the latest in sports news at Hofstra.
Thanks, Ryan. The men's and women's soccer teams have clinched spots in the CAA Conference Championships. The men's last conference game of the regular season was on Saturday against 5th-seeded Northeastern University, where the Pride won 3-0. Going into the championship, the men are seeded third with a record of 5-2-1 in CAA play and will be battling the University of Delaware in Virginia on Sunday, November 10th. The women's soccer team is the #1 seed going into the championships after a 3-1 victory over 5th-seeded Elon University. Their next game will be against 6th-seeded James Madison University in Hempstead at 1 p.m. on Saturday, November 9th. The volleyball team has put up great efforts in their recent matches. The Pride started off with a 17-7 lead in the first set against the Towson Tigers at home. They continued their battle throughout the match, but fell short with a 3-1 loss. The team then dominated the Northeastern Huskies, capturing a 4-set win, giving them an overall record of 15-9 and 8-4 in the CAA. Louisa Sidlick is now 13 digs shy from becoming the 20th member of the 1,000 Digs Club at Hofstra. The team will be back in action Saturday, November 9th in Wilmington, North Carolina against UNCW at 1 p.m. The first game of the Hofstra men's basketball season is today at 7 p.m. on home court. The Pride will play the San Jose State Spartans, and the first 500 students in attendance will get a free t-shirt. The men's next home game is against Monmouth this Saturday at 4 p.m. with a tailgate party hosted by SGA before the game from 1 to 4. Both games will be broadcasted live on WRHU 88.7 as well as on Flow Hoops. I'm David Lazar with your sports report. Now back to you guys.
Stay where you are because after the break, we're talking all things entertainment.
Now let's go check on Max Coven, who asked members of the Hofstra community how they handle stress.
College can have its high anxiety moments. November 6th is National Stress Awareness Day. I had the opportunity while students are in classes and going to clubs to talk to people about getting tips and tricks to managing anxiety. What is your largest anxiety in the classroom?
In the classroom, I have anxiety surrounding my inability to know when homework needs to be done and putting myself in a situation where I can get homework done by the time it needs because I have such bad time management skills.
My largest anxiety in the classroom would be when we have a big reading to do and having to memorize a lot of aspects of that big reading.
And what have you specifically found that helps you with coping or doing that in the classroom?
I found just trying not to think too negatively about things, trying to not think about what other people might think of me or react to how I'm speaking or what answer I say.
Something that helps me coping with that mechanism is I have my dog on campus, specifically for my anxiety.
And just for fun, what kind of dog do you have?
A Shih Tzu.
And what's the dog's name?
His name's Max.
I definitely suggest in dealing with this to meditate and stuff. It really helps to just center yourself and focus on what you're doing.
I hope you can take these tips and tricks and incorporate them into your day at Hofstra. This is Max Coven with Hofstra Today. Back to Studio B.
Let's pop over to Amelia Sack with our entertainment news of the day.
Thanks, Ryan. Missed the chance to see Legally Blonde the musical? Don't fret, because the Hofstra Department of Drama and Dance's next show is the play Pfeffu and Her Friends. This award-winning play follows the lives of 8 different women throughout a single day in which a dramatic event occurs. The show will be taking place November 8th through the 17th in the Black Box Theater in Shapiro Family Hall. Tickets are $10 for adults and $8 for senior citizens. Hofstra students can receive 2 free tickets with their Hofstra ID card. Interested in checking out some fascinating art? Until Sunday, November 10th, the Hofstra Department of Fine Arts and Design is presenting the Chico Narihashi exhibition. Narihashi's work has been featured in several prestigious art galleries and magazines. The exhibit is in the Rosenberg Gallery in Hawkins Hall, room 136. Be sure to check it out before it goes. Looking for something fun to do this weekend? Then be sure to attend the Hofstra Wind Ensemble and Symphonic Band Concert this Saturday, November 9th at 8 p.m., directed by David Soto. The concert will feature performances of both traditional and contemporary works. The concert this weekend will take place at Adams Playhouse. Tickets are $10 for adults, $8 for senior citizens, and as always, Hofstra students may receive 2 free tickets with presentation of their Hofstra ID card. I'm Amelia Sack with this week's entertainment news.
Thanks for everyone who joined us today. You will find us again November 20th for our final show of the semester. Be sure to follow us at Hofstra Today on Twitter, Instagram, and like us on Facebook. We will see you next time and have a great day.